Hello, this is a series where we take Florida Man stories and try to make him sympathetic. Let's see what the headline generator has for us this time. Florida Man under extreme stress forgets how to stand. This reminds me of drug stories I've heard. I think I may have an idea of the subreddit that we should be taking this to. R/we, let's see how they respond to an amateur who can't quite handle himself. Alright, it's story time. I signed on to speak to a group of 50 people or so for an event pertaining to my profession. I had pretty significant anxiety, so I figured getting high would be a necessary step to get me through the proceedings. As a result of the terror upon waking up on the day of the event, I decided to take 300 milligrams or so of edibles. Quick sidebar, so I'm not exactly a weed connoisseur myself, maybe you are, but just to clarify for those who are unsure about the amounts, 300 milligrams is an insane amount, especially if you're not experienced. It's enough to send you into a full-blown spiral, essentially. Yes, I realize my error now. This was about an hour before my ride arrived. When the person showed to pick me up and the car ride I had been dreading became suddenly extremely relaxed. Wow, that was a poorly written sentence. All I did was laugh. I should have realized at this point things weren't going to go well. We pulled into our parking space and I attempted to get out of the car. This did not happen. Yes, you read that right. It was seemingly impossible to move my legs. My friend walked up to the window to ask if I was okay as I was just sitting there with the door swung open. From what I remember, I just shook my head no. He must have known I was high. He attempted to pick me up and place me on the ground, but he was wrong to assume I'd be able to plant my feet as I fell haplessly on the concrete. Others showing up to the event are noticing now. I am now on all fours in the parking lot, in front of a dozen or so professionals in my field. I wish it didn't happen this way, but that was when I started to cry. Feeling very in touch with my emotions, I began to bawl epically from the embarrassment of what I was experiencing. People were coming over to ask about me. My friend was trying to get me to relax, but it seemed impossible. I don't remember well, but I have a flash of someone trying to hand me water, but I was paralyzed in this position and still crying. People were petting me like a farm animal. Wanting to get away from this situation, I began to crawl towards the road. It wasn't that I had a death wish, I just wasn't able to think clearly. That's when someone grabbed me and dragged me into the event center. An ambulance came to pick me up after a while, and I was out of the hospital within a few hours. So obviously I think people are just going to say that this is not an advisable amount of marijuana edibles to consume. And you gotta feel bad. Poor guy was just trying to calm his anxiety, and this is what he gets for it. Just a more embarrassing situation than he could have imagined. But this poster makes a good point. At least you didn't mess up the speech. That could have been embarrassing. I mean, he did avoid that, technically speaking. Alternative idea. Only ever attend speaking events stoned. Start off like I know we're supposed to be talking about, looks around and sees the topic being discussed, but instead I want to tell you a story about this little dude, with the help of some other little dudes, saved the world from an evil magician and his ring of power. I mean, it's probably a much better story than you're gonna get at one of these events. I mean, who likes professional development kind of shit anyway? Well, that ended up being a measly response, but I guess it's just gonna have to be another one of my incredible stories gone underrated. But I hope you at least enjoyed my active imagination. Chatroom Surfer logging out.